Discover the incredible moment AK-9 transformed twin girls' lives after their heartbreaking words. Rain pattered against the window of the Wilsons' modest home. 12-year-old twins, Emily and Sarah, sat on the floor, their matching raincoats forgotten in the corner. The comforting warmth of their pastel walls felt distant as they listened to their parents argue in hushed tones. Phrases like job loss, bills, and debts pierced through the cozy sounds of raindrops, words that made the girls' stomachs churn like a stormy sea. They exchanged glances, wide-eyed, feeling the weight of their family's unraveling safety. Everything they once knew was slipping away. As the tension peaked that fateful afternoon, Emily's heart tightened in response to her father's defeated sigh. "It's not enough, Sarah," she cried, frustrated tears pooling in her eyes. "Why can't they just stop fighting?" Sarah, feeling equally helpless, snapped back, "What do you want me to do? I can't fix it." Their voices, once filled with laughter and dreams, now stirred with accusations, echoing through their small space like a trapped breeze. Misunderstandings and bottled-up emotions surfaced in that moment, creating a rift between sisters who usually leaned on each other for comfort. Then, a neighborhood event turned the tide of their heaviness. A local K-9 unit showed up to showcase his talented dog, Max. The moment his fluffy tail wagged and he bounced toward the crowd, the spell of sadness lifted slightly. With his golden fur glimmering under the strobing summer lights and eyes shining with pure excitement, Max was a breath of fresh air. Emily and Sarah locked eyes with the enthusiastic pup, and for the first time in weeks, they were gobsmacked with delight. Together, they laughed and played, feeling the fraying threads of their lives momentarily stitched together by joy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As laughter echoed through the community center, a misunderstanding about Max led the girls down an unexpected path. Residents began to take sides, with whispers darkening the air. Some believed the officer was too aggressive in dealing with a recent neighborhood incident, others saw him as a hero. The calm excitement turned into a storm of division, and as summer fair loomed closer, tensions mounted. At the fair, amidst laughter and the smell of popcorn, Emily and Sarah stood as the crowd erupted in anger. Fueled by emotion, they stepped forward. Heart pounding, Emily shouted, "Can't we see past our differences? Max just wants to help." Their voices trembled but stood firm as quiet fell over the crowd. Would the girls heal the rifts growing in their own community? Then, a shocking revelation ignited around them. It threatened what little hope had been built among neighbors. With the crowd buzzing with confusion and anger, silence fell like a heavy curtain. Emily and Sarah exchanged a desperate glance, questioning if the love they shared could weather this storm. As they looked to Max, the embodiment of loyalty and comfort amid chaos, they yearned for an answer. Could family, friendship, and the fabric of their town survive this turmoil, or would it unravel forever? The tension in the air was palpable as the crowd surrounding the twins shifted from anger to uncertainty. Emily felt her heartbeat thunder in her ears, and she could see Sarah's hands tremble slightly. The girls had always believed in the strength of their bond, but the rift between their neighbors felt far too big to bridge. Faces they once saw as friendly were now shadowed with suspicion and fear. Max, sensing the unease, trotted up to the twins. He leaned against them, warm and reassuring. Emily reached down and scratched behind his ears. The simple action sent a wave of calm washing over her. "Look, Max just wants to be here for us," Emily said, her voice cutting through the thick silence. "We can't forget that." Their words hung like a fragile thread in the air, but it wasn't enough. A woman from the crowd stepped forward, arms crossed tightly across her chest. "What are you saying? You think this dog can come and just fix everything?" There's too much at stake. Her sharp tone pierced their already tender spirits. In that moment, Sarah spoke up, her voice steadier than she felt inside. No, that's not what we mean. Max is more than just a dog. He gives us a reason to come together. The girls exchanged glances, sharing a fleeting moment of understanding. Like when we played with him at the community center, Sarah added. It reminded us of who we really are. The crowd shifted uneasily again, some beginning to whisper softly amongst themselves. It was a flicker of hope, but the storm was still brewing. Emily felt a spark inside her. She couldn't let the moment slip away. Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, Max at her side. I know we've all been through tough times. But we can either choose to fight or we can choose to heal. Max isn't just a dog. He's a reminder that even when things get rough, we can lean on each other. A small murmuring broke out as heads nodded, eyes softened, and her message began to take root. The warmth of connection felt fragile, like the sun peeking through dark clouds. The girls exchanged determined looks. Maybe, just maybe, Max's presence brought a light shining through their community's divide. As the exchanges continued, Emily noticed a boy she used to play with at the park, now standing still, caught in the tides of discontent. She felt a surge of frustration. Memories of carefree times washed over her. Simon, everyone. She called out, raising her voice, drawing attention back to her. Don't you remember what it felt like to just be with one another? To laugh, to play, to be there? A hesitant murmur of agreement rippled through the spectators, but not all were convinced. The confrontation around them felt poised on a precipice. In the distance, thunder rolled, amplifying the tension crackling in the air, as if nature itself mirrored the emotions swirling among them. Just then, a shout pierced through the uncertainty. What do you know about it? A man, who had been quiet until now, suddenly erupted, his voice steeped in resentment. What do you kids think you can do? Max, seemingly sensing the intensity of the bickering conversations, stepped forward defiantly, barking in response. The unexpected action brought an uncomfortable silence, forcing everyone to pause once more. Both Emily and Sarah looked at each other, understanding they had to take a stand now or watch helplessly as their community fell apart. We just want the fighting to stop. Sarah shouted, her passion igniting the spirit of unity they so desperately needed. We believe in us. And we can't let one disagreement tear us apart. But would their plea be enough to quell the rising anger in the crowd? As the skies darkened and the rumble of thunder echoed around them, a new feeling began to settle. Was this argument their last chance to build a bridge or just the beginning of greater chaos? With hearts racing, the twins shared another determined look, knowing they needed one final push to rally the neighborhood before it was too late. Emily's breath came faster, each inhale charged with urgency. She could feel Sarah's tension radiating beside her, a mirrored reflection of her own fear and hope. This was a moment they couldn't back down from. Everyone. Emily called, her voice breaking through the electric charge of the crowd. We're not asking you to forgive everything right here and now. We just want you to remember who we are, how we used to come together, how we used to care. She pointed towards Max, who still stood proudly at their feet, sensing the love and trust they had for him. Let him remind us. A flicker of confusion washed over the crowd. Eyes darted from the twins to Max, then between one another, searching for answers in familiar faces clouded by uncertainty. Emily's heart raced, but she kept her focus steady, knowing they were standing at the edge of change. The angry man who had shouted earlier crossed his arms and watched skeptically. He wasn't the only one feeling doubtful. Another voice piped up, a woman who once smiled at the twins when they passed on the sidewalk. But things are different now. We can't just forget what happened. They could. At least, maybe. It was a long road ahead. But maybe, just maybe, this was the first step. Maybe we can't forget, Sarah interjected, her voice softening as she took a step forward. But think of all the good times. The barbecues, the games, the moments when we banded together. We need to bring back that spirit. A hesitant nod rippled through the crowd. The memories seemed almost tangible, floating above the tension like a warm breeze that dared to disrupt the cold air. Max, sensing the shift, playfully nudged Emily's hand, reminding her of the purpose that brought them all there. Just then, a lively bark reminded them that joy, even in a time of struggle, could solidify bonds. "What do you say?" Sarah continued, determination in her voice. "Let us have a day of fun. A community fair. It's a chance to reconnect, to remember who we were. With games, food, maybe even an award for the best grillers. We can invite everyone, heal our community through laughter again." The word fair floated over the crowd, a buoy amidst stormy seas of discontent. Emily watched carefully as she caught sight of familiar faces starting to light up. The boy from the park stood with an expression of wistful recognition, and the man beside him murmured something under his breath. Was it agreement? "Maybe we can," his wife added quietly. A few more heads nodded, and Emily could almost feel the air start to shift. Hope bubbled up inside her, contagious and spirited. "Yeah!" shouted another neighbor, someone whose children Emily had grown up with. "Let us remember how we used to be." The air buzzed with newfound energy. Questions about logistics floated as they began to huddle together in small clusters, discussing food contributions, games, and decorations. It wasn't a complete resolution, but it was a commitment to start fighting back against the shadows creeping into their friendships. But just then, a loud clap of thunder broke through the fragile moment, the sky expressing its own doubts. The shifting atmosphere of caring felt tenuous, like a single dust mote in a beam of sunlight, caught in the tumult outside. "Will it be enough?" Emily whispered to Sarah, her heart still racing. "What if we can't bring everyone together?" Sarah paused, her brow drawn. "We have to try. This is our chance." And with that, the twins felt the urgency pulse in their chests again. They could feel the weight of their community on their shoulders. The fair could be the spark they needed, or it could blow up in their faces. Could a simple event really mend what was broken? Would old friendships return, or was this just the calm before another storm? With the clouds overhead rumbling ominously, they hoped there was enough love left in the hearts of their neighbors to give this one last chance of unity a shot. What would happen when tensions collided again? Would the fair be the light that could break through the darkness, or just another nail in the coffin of their community? The rain began to fall softly, a gentle reminder that nature often had its own agenda. Emily and Sarah stood side by side, watching their neighbors scatter under umbrellas and awnings, retreating as the skies opened up. A part of Emily's heart sank with each familiar face that hurried away, but another part clung to hope. "Do you think we can still pull it off?" Emily asked, gazing back at the crowd as they dispersed. "The fair, I mean?" Sarah ran a hand through her damp hair, her determined smile still in place. "We have to believe it can happen. Even if it rains, we need to push forward." Just then, a soft tug on Emily's leg caught her attention. It was Max, his coat slick and shiny despite the mist. He looked up at her, his big brown eyes filled with understanding. "Maybe Max can help us rally the last of them," Sarah suggested, her voice excited again. She squatted down, arms open wide. "Come on, buddy. Let us show everyone what we can do." Max barked eagerly and bounded toward the edge of the now thinning crowd, tail wagging like a flag of hope. He was more than just a dog, he was a bridge. Emily watched someone pause, then another, intrigued by the boy's forget-me-not swagger. It was small glimpses of joy amidst the rain that reminded her of what their community could be. More neighbors started to linger. The timid smiles emerged as they watched Max play in the puddles, jumping and splashing water everywhere. The laughter was soft at first, but it quickly built, rising above the thunder. "Hey, look at that! Max has no worries at all," someone hollered, and a chuckle spread through the shrinking crowd like wildfire. I remember how he used to chase after the kids by the fountain. Another neighbor called, a hint of nostalgia lacing their voice. Let us not let the weather ruin our plans, shouted someone else standing near the cool silhouette of the old oak tree, its leaves glistening. If we can make this fair happen with sunshine, we can do it in the rain too. The energy shifted, hands began to clap, and the excitement rewound, knitting together the frayed edges of the community just as swiftly as the clouds painted the skies gray. Emily turned to Sarah, heart pounding. We can do this. We can plan the fair together. Sarah beamed, their eyes shining brighter than the darkened sky above them. They decided on a new plan, one to embrace the weather instead of run from it. What if we have an indoor section? Sarah suggested. The community center could be our backup. We could set up tents outside too. A little rain never hurt anyone, right? Emily nodded, their spirits buoyed with the thought of laughter ringing through the community center. The space that once echoed their childhood dreams could now revive their friendships. As the discussions deepened, a shift began to happen among the crowd. The urgent sense of friendship was abruptly tangible. Emily found herself smiling, enveloped in warmth. Could this be the turning point? But just as they were feeling the thrill of possibility again, the loud crack of thunder echoed through the air more closely. It caught their attention and a sharp splash of rain followed. Instantaneously, excitement morphed back into uncertainty. Will they still come? Emily searched Sarah's eyes, worry creeping back in. Before her sister could respond, an older gentleman from a distance raised his voice. Let us not let storms hold us down. Who's in for a fair no matter the weather? The ripple of agreement surged. But deep down, Emily still felt a nagging fear. What if all this excitement led to disappointment? As they moved on to talk about the details, thunder rumbled again, a foreboding reminder of the challenge to come. Would they be able to turn those collective sparks of joy into something tangible? With hearts still racing and rain soaking the ground beneath them, Emily knew one thing was certain: their community was at a crossroads. It was time to decide who would gather under the clouds, shine through the rain, and step into a new chapter together. Would they be able to light the way forward, or would they find themselves left in the shadows once again? The wind picked up, a chilly reminder of the storm brewing all around them. Emily felt the rain drip down her neck, a cold strike against her resolve. She glanced at the older gentleman, still smiling, but something in his expression caught her. Was he truly confident, or was this all a facade to mask his own doubts? Hey, what if we made this a neighborhood tradition? Sarah's suggestion cut through the rising tension, her voice steady and strong. A murmur passed through the crowd, intrigued by the idea. If we can make this fair thrive today, we can do it year after year, rain or shine. The notion flickered in the air, a tiny flame growing. Emily felt it ignite inside her. The fair became more than just an event. It was a lifeline, a chance to knit everyone together, to scare away the loneliness that draped their community like a heavy quilt. Max, now covered in droplets, raced back to them. Emily crouched down and hugged him. Buddy, you're our secret weapon, she whispered, a grin pushing through her worries. Okay. Let us start making plans, Sarah said, pulling out a notepad from her secured backpack. The rain continued to drum on the pavement, but all around them, ideas began to flow, transforming their hesitations into plans. A children's corner, a bake sale, games that could be set up underneath the canopies. Ideas blossomed like rare flowers in the storm. Every now and then, thunder would rumble, almost as if nature was challenging them. But instead of succumbing to fear, laughter pealed through the crowd, each chuckle bouncing off the wet asphalt like a buoyant melody. Emily's heart settled into a rhythm, feeling more assured with each shared thought, and laughter echoed back. But then, a sharp clap of thunder struck, louder and closer than before. Emily's heart raced, the reality of the storm crashing against her optimism. What if people really don't come? She thought, her stomach twisting, but before she spiraled too deep, a voice broke through the air. Who knows? Rain might make it all more memorable. It was Mrs. Thompson, the neighborhood's unofficial matriarch, her silver curls glistening like a halo against the gloom. People started to rally around her dynamic energy. She's right. This weather could make for some unforgettable stories. Another voice added, causing a wave of agreement to wash over them. Emily felt the warmth growing again. They were a collective force. Undeterred. Resilient. If we can weather this storm together, just think about how strong we will be, she urged, her voice rising above the commotion. It's about community, about us. Let us make the fair a testament to our spirit. With every hand that went up, Emily's confidence surged. They began to divvy up tasks, laughter and chatter blending with the patter of raindrops against the ground. Max jumped in between the clusters of talking neighbors, spreading the joy that bound them. Just as they completed their plans, a blinding flash of lightning illuminated the sky, followed by a roar of thunder that felt like a warning. The crowd fell silent, eyes wide with anticipation. What's the real test? Someone whispered, almost as if the question swam through the fear. Emily's heart raced. Could they rally and truly make this fair happen, no matter what? Did they have what it takes to trust in each other, to believe against all odds? Remember, it's not just about the fair, Sarah said softly, a smile still on her lips. It's about us becoming stronger together no matter the rain. The crowd began to clap, first gently, then growing with intensity. The sound echoed, carried by the wind, wrapping around Emily with hope. As they felt the power of unity surge, Emily's mind wandered to a new idea. If everyone was stepping up despite the storm, what other surprises lay beneath the surface of their community? Before she could fully explore this thought, Max barked sharply, drawing her attention. What now, boy? She asked, turning. The line of trees beyond the patch of grass rustled as a figure emerged from the shadows, a newcomer, drenched yet resolute, stepping toward them. Who could it be? Would they add to their plans or throw a wrench in the works? The anticipation hung thick in the air, beckoning a new path forward. Emily took a cautious step forward, tightening her grip on Max's leash. The newcomer was hard to make out through the sheets of rain, but there was something undeniably compelling about the figure. As the downpour whipped around them, he emerged fully into view, a tall man with shaggy dark hair and piercing blue eyes. He wore a soaked jacket, but there was an air of determination about him that felt electrifying amidst the storm. Hey there! He called out, his voice cutting through the rain. I hope I'm not crashing the party. The crowd stirred with curiosity, heads snapping in his direction. Emily could feel the warmth of the group's energy flicker as they sized him up. There was an unspoken question in the air: who was this guy and what did he want? I'm Kyle, he introduced himself, stepping closer, a broad smile breaking through the rain-soaked chaos. I just moved into the neighborhood. Heard about your fair and thought I'd come out and see what all the fuss was about. Emily exchanged glances with Sarah, who lifted her eyebrows in surprise. A newcomer? Here? The timing felt almost serendipitous. What do you do, Kyle? Sarah asked, stepping forward, her enthusiasm bubbling back to life. We could definitely use all hands on deck today. I'm a dog trainer, Kyle replied, motioning to a furry shadow that had followed him from beneath the trees. Out from the downpour stepped a golden retriever, shaking himself off and causing a humorous chirp of laughter from the crowd. This is Scout. He's my partner. Oh wow! Emily exclaimed, bending to rub Scout's damp fur. The dog wagged his tail vigorously, and for a moment, the rain seemed to ease, replaced by the warmth of shared laughter. What a great addition! Think he can help us with some games for the kids? Kyle chuckled, watching as Scout nuzzled into Max's side, their doggy friendship blossoming in seconds. He's great with kids. We could do some fun activities. Dog races? Agility tests? The crowd buzzed with an energetic comeback. Yes. Yes. Voices called, brainstorming wild ideas brimming with possibilities. As the plans solidified, Emily felt renewed. Maybe this was what they needed, a fresh perspective, and Kyle's infectious positivity breathed new life into their mission. She looked around to see everyone chatting and laughing again, the fears of the storm fading into the background, but before Emily could dive deeper into the brainstorming, a small voice broke through the cheer. "Excuse me?" The group turned toward the sound, and there stood two girls, both around 7, their faces framed by hoods that struggled to shield them from the rain. "We heard there was a fair," one girl began, her eyes wide and hopeful. "Can we help too?" "Of course," Kyle said, kneeling down, a bright grin lighting up his face. Max bounded over to the girls, tail wagging as if sensing their excitement. "What's your name?" "I'm Lily," the smaller girl said, her voice steady, and when she pointed to her sister she beamed, "and this is Rose. We want to help, please." Emily could see a flicker of something in their eyes, an eagerness that mirrored her own. She knelt down to their level. "You can definitely help us. How about gathering all the kids and spreading out some games? Your ideas could be the best of all." The twins cheered, spilling over with delight. As they dashed off to rally other young ones, Emily felt a rush of gratitude. There was something special in moments like these, the kind that echoed the resilience and camaraderie of their neighborhood, but just then, as she shared a glance with Sarah, the sky seemed to darken even more, deep grumbles of thunder rolling ominously in the distance. Emily felt a tightness in her chest as if the storm was taking a cue from her own doubts. Would these children and their newfound energy be enough to pull through? Could everyone hold on against an ironic tempest threatening their plans? Before she could voice her worries, Kyle had caught her eye once more. "We can do this." His confidence was contagious, and Emily felt herself leaning into that belief. "Let us make this fair. Unforgettable." As the crowd roared back their agreement, uncertain but determined, a sudden gust of wind howled past and scattered the papers lying on the ground. Emily watched as ideas flew about, a whirlwind of hope caught in its wake. There it was again, the sense of possibility. But beneath that optimism lingered another thought: could they stand together as the storm truly hit? With thunder rumbling louder, the stakes were rising. What would be the breaking point? Would this fair reveal a strength they never knew they had? Only time would tell as the storm began to swirl unforgivingly, looming just over their heads. The rain intensified, slapping against Emily's cheeks like a million tiny drops of doubt. A low roar of thunder echoed, reminding her that the pressure was building. But there was fire in her heart, fueled by Kyle's enthusiasm and the children rallying around. They were all in this together, ready to face whatever the storm had in store. A little while later, the twins returned, flushed and grinning, surrounded by a gaggle of giggling kids, all soaked to the skin but electrified with excitement. "We told them about the games," Lily exclaimed, her hood slipping back to reveal wild curls plastered to her forehead. "They want to join too." "Great." Kyle clapped his hands together, urging the crowd to gather closer. "All right, everyone. Let us divide into groups. We'll set up agility courses over there, and maybe have a tug-of-war with Scout on one team. Who's in?" The kids erupted in cheers, their voices melding together like a symphony of joy. Even as rain continued to pour, Emily felt hope blooming. The energy pulsed around her, lifting her spirits. They began to make quick plans, racing against the weather as they mapped out their games. Amid the chaos, Emily spotted the girls whispering to each other. They seemed tentative, a look of uncertainty creeping across their small faces. With a kind smile, she knelt before them. "What's on your minds, girls?" Lily's brow furrowed. "What if the games don't go well? What if no one wants to play?" Those words struck a chord in Emily. She too had felt that fear, gnawing at her confidence, but she knew it was essential to push through. "Sometimes, it's the effort we put in that makes things special, not just the result," she said softly. "Plus, everyone's here for fun. We're all on the same team." Rose brightened at that, yet still hesitated. What if we can't do it? Emily felt her heart swell with compassion. Look around you. You have Kyle helping, and everyone else with you. You're stronger together. Just like those rain clouds up there, we can weather the storm as a team. Lily's eyes sparkled with renewed determination, and she squeezed her sister's hand. Okay. Let us do it. Before long, the sound of laughter and excited barks filled the air as they set up the course. Emily watched as Scout effortlessly dashed through the makeshift agility hurdles with the kids racing after him. The joy was infectious. But then, without warning, the winds picked up, howling through the park like a warning siren. The light dimmed, shadows danced crazily under the sporadic flashes of lightning. For a brief moment, the thrill faded, replaced by an unsettling stillness. Everyone. Kyle called, his voice steady against nature's fury. Let us gather under the big oak. We'll finish planning there, all hands on deck. They scrambled, navigating through puddles as laughter turned to urgency. Emily felt anxiety gripping her. What if this storm interrupted everything they had worked for? Would the kids leave, defeated by the weather? As they huddled beneath the shelter of the oak tree, she could see the uncertainty flickering in the children's eyes. Emily took a deep breath, her voice steady. This is just a little rain. We've got each other. We're not backing down. Suddenly, Rose stepped forward, her face determined. Let us make a promise. We won't give up, even if the storm tries to scare us away. Yeah. Echoed Lily, her spirit bolstered alongside her sister's. And with that, they clasped hands around a small group of kids, as if lighting their own beacon of hope. As they shouted out their promise, Emily felt a swell in her heart. There was something incredible about the way resilience blossomed in the face of adversity, like flowers pushing through concrete. Maybe the storm wouldn't break them, maybe it would only make their bond stronger, but just at that moment, another deafening crack of thunder rolled overhead. The wind picked up speed, and it sent an uneasy strain through the crowd. As they looked up, Emily realized that not just rain was coming. Dark clouds were swirling, the tempest was fierce, and so too were her fears. Could they really stand together as that storm unleashed its full fury? What would happen if the very spirit they had built began to crack and falter? The answer hung in the air like the storm overhead. Emily held on tight to her hope, not willing to let go yet. The wind howled like a banshee, and the sky darkened further, casting a shadow over the group huddled beneath the oak. Emily could see the trepidation in the children's faces. The weight of the thunder was like a heavy blanket, but she pressed on, determined not to let fear take hold. Okay, team. She called out, trying to inject some pep into the atmosphere. The kids looked at her, eyes wide, but she could feel the energy beginning to shift again. Let us play a quick game while we wait for the storm to pass. How about a round of freeze tag? Scout can help. A few tentative giggles broke free, and she could see some heads nodding. Kyle's reassuring smile lifted Emily's spirits. He jumped in, all right. Let us start with 2 teams. Scout can be our referee. As they rearranged themselves, Emily noticed Rose still stood a little too far back, her expression still tense. Emily knew now was a pivotal moment, not just for the games, but for something much deeper. She stepped forward, kneeling to be at eye level with the twins. You remember our promise, right? Rose hesitated but then nodded slowly. What if the storm gets worse? It might, Emily spoke earnestly. But we won't let it stop us from having fun. Remember, the storm doesn't define us. We define our spirit together. Lily chimed in, we're strong, right? Absolutely, just like a mighty oak tree, Emily replied, lifting her arms high. We bend, we sway, but we don't break. The twins exchanged looks filled with a mixture of fear and challenge, and then miraculously, they both broke into grins. Okay. We can do this. Rose shouted, her voice ringing out with renewed confidence. Let us show that storm who's boss. Lily added, shaking her arms as if readying for a battle. The kids buzzed back into action, quickly lining up for the game. Emily felt her heart swell. This was more than just playing, they were crafting a moment of triumph against their fears. On your marks, get set, freeze. Kyle called out, the laughter erupting like a beautiful melody, drowning out the chaos outside. Scout bounded around them, barking with excitement, and suddenly the storm felt like a distant hum instead of an ominous threat. They dashed through the rain, squeals of joy mixing with the pulsating rhythm of falling drops. Emily joined in, laughing as she tried to tag them, taking care to connect with each child in every brief moment they could share. It felt electric. But as the game progressed, the wind picked up again, noticeably stronger, sending chills down their spines. For a moment, the loud crack of thunder made everyone freeze in place, eyes darting to the darkened clouds. What now? One of the boys whispered, clearly spooked. Emily felt the hesitation creeping back in, pulse quickening. We take a break. She called out. Back under the tree, everyone. They rushed back, huddling under the oak again, breaths heavy with both exertion and anxiety. We can't give up now. We only have to wait out the worst of it, she encouraged. Suddenly, Lily spoke up, her voice trembling. What if the storm ruins everything? What if we can't play again? Emily's heart sank at those familiar words that mirrored her earlier doubts. Even if we have to pause, we won't be defeated. We've already made memories today. Just like that, the raw energy in the air shifted again. The kids began talking, sharing little anecdotes about funny moments in the rain, their laughter peeling through the gloom. Emily felt bolstered. The storms around them might rage, but their spirits soared higher. They were creating a bubble of joy in the face of fear. But as another flash of lightning illuminated the park, Emily caught a glimpse of an unfamiliar shadow at the edge of the clearing, moving closer. There was something about it that didn't fit, a sense of foreboding creeping in. What would it mean for the children's newfound courage? Would their bubble of happiness withstand this new challenge? As the shadow darted closer, Emily felt the familiar grip of anxiety clawing at her heart. Everyone stay close. She shouted, her voice stronger than she felt. The storm was brewing, and so was something else entirely. The tension stretched in the air like the taut wire of a storm-laden sky. Emily's heart raced as she strained her eyes into the thickening shadows. The laughter of the children faded into a hushed uncertainty, replaced by nervous whispers. She felt the heat rise in her chest as another bolt of lightning split the sky. The unfamiliar shadow lurked ominously at the edge of the clearing, and her mind raced with questions. Emily? Kyle's voice broke through her thoughts, and she tore her gaze away from the dark figure. He seemed to read her expression. What is that? I don't know, she admitted, her voice steady. But inside, a whirlwind of doubts began to coil. She had been their rock, their shield against fear. But now, faced with this unknown, she felt the walls of her fortress begin to crack. All right, everyone, let us focus on Scout, she said, forcing a smile as she gestured to the dog bouncing eagerly at her side. Remember how brave and strong he is. He will protect us. The children's heads turned, eyes lighting up at the mention of their beloved friend. Emily could see the flicker of hope rekindle. Scout wagged his tail, oblivious to the storm and the shadow, just radiating joy and loyalty. Perhaps, she thought, that was enough for now. Let us give him a round of applause. He is our hero. Emily encouraged, clapping her hands together. The kids joined in hesitantly at first, but soon their hands met in joyful rhythm, the sound echoing against the rapidly darkening sky. But as they cheered for Scout, Emily's eyes darted back. The shadow had advanced, no longer lounging in the periphery, now it loomed large and solid. It was a figure, one that moved with a distinct purpose, the kind that made her heart pound louder than the thunder. Suddenly, a low growl rumbled deep within Scout's throat. He positioned himself between Emily and the newcomers, alert and ready as if sensing the tension. "Stay close, kiddos," Emily urged, stepping forward, protective instincts firing within her. As the figure stepped fully into the light, the kids shuffled closer together, fearfully glancing between the mystery and Emily. The figure was a man, drenched but somehow standing tall. His silhouette was no longer a frightening shadow, but now seemed familiar. Emily squinted. "Is it a friend?" one of the twins whispered, gripping Lily's arm. I don't know," Emily replied, heart racing even more as the storm raged around them. The man stepped closer, urgency in his eyes, and shouted through the wind, "Emily! Who are you?" She shouted back, trying to piece together this strange encounter as anxiety tightened her chest. "It's Jake. I came to find you," he exclaimed, surfacing amidst the chaos like a lifeline thrown in wild waters. Relief washed over her, mingling with confusion. "You shouldn't be out here," she shouted, feeling the warmth of familiarity juxtaposed against the drumming rain and rolling thunder. "I had to find you. What's happening?" Jake moved closer, glancing at the children huddled together, their anxious expressions mirroring her own worries. "This storm, it's stronger than we thought," Emily called, her voice desperate. "I just wanted to keep them safe." Jake nodded, his expression shifting to one of determination. "We can get them to my car. We'll be safer there." Emily felt the spark of hope flicker again, but new questions arose. What if the storm gets worse? What if before she could finish, Scout let out a bark? Jake turned sharply toward the sound. "What if what?" he asked, urgency flooding his tone. Emily's mind raced, the children's faces lighting up at the thought of rescue, battling her own rising tide of fear. "We have to move fast." As the group began to organize, a distant rumble echoed, a solemn reminder of the storm's relentless grip. But was this man's arrival a spark of hope or a distraction from the real danger lurking in the shadows? That thought hung uncomfortably in the air. Would they reach safety in time, or was there something waiting just beyond? "Let us go, kids," Emily shouted, determination fueling every ounce of her voice. "The storm!" screamed behind them, as they turned to face the night. Emily felt the grip of anxiety tug at her heart, but amid the chaos of nature's fury, one steadfast resolve pulled her forward. "All right, everyone, listen up," she called, rallying the children together, her voice steady. "We are not letting a little storm break our spirit. We've come too far for that." With Jake by her side, the presence of familiarity felt like a safety net woven from the very fabric of their hopeful experiences. "We have a plan," Jake shouted, a reassuring smile on his face that shined brighter than the storm raging around them. "We're going to the car and ride this out together." The children shared nervous glances, but beneath the worry, Emily saw flickers of courage in their eyes. "Let us follow Jake," she urged, her voice cutting through the rumbling thunder. "We can get through this together." As they began to move toward the edge of the clearing, Emily caught the look of determination on Sarah's face. They all felt it, an unyielding bond that pushed them forward despite the relentless rain. Max and Scout bounded ahead, leading the way like two brave sentinels on guard. The wind howled, whipping their clothes and lashing against their skin. But, buoyed by the energy of hope, they pressed on. Each step felt lighter than the last. Emily glanced constantly back at the children, ensuring they were close behind her, every laugh, every cheer adding to her strength. Suddenly, as if the storm had sensed their resolve, the rain came pouring down harder, drenching them completely. Emily felt the cold seep into her bones, but she could hear children giggling, their delight undeterred by the chaos surrounding them. "This is like a crazy adventure," one excited voice called out. With Jake leading the way and Emily bringing up the rear, they reached the safety of his car parked just beyond the trees. the safety net of familiarity wrapped around them like a favorite quilt. The children jumped into the back seat, laughter mixing with the raindrops pattering against the metal ceiling, and Emily slid into the front beside Jake. As they huddled together, relief flooded through her body, and she took a moment to catch her breath. "I can't believe we made it," Emily exclaimed, glancing back at the kids, who were now smiling with excitement. It was the first time tonight that she felt warmth blossom in her heart. More than just a flicker, it was a roaring fire. Around them, the storm continued to rage, but inside the car, a bubble of safety emerged. Thunder rumbled above, but it felt distant now, not as crushing nor fearsome. Jake turned to her, eyes sparkling despite the gloom. "You did an incredible job, Emily. You brought everyone together." The words settled in her chest like a long-lost melody returning in a rush. "I couldn't have done it without you, Jake. You showed up when I needed you the most." They shared a smile, one that promised more adventures ahead. The rain tapped rhythmically against the windows, soothing them. Emily looked back at the kids, all animatedly chatting about their adventure, their innocent laughter echoing through the car. She felt a swell of pride, knowing that this moment was more than just survival. They had faced the storm, faced their fears, and together, they had come out stronger. Even the darkest storms pass, Emily thought, a wave of realization crashing over her. And sometimes, they leave behind something beautiful. As the sun began to peek through the clouds, illuminating the world outside, Emily turned to Jake with determination in her voice. "We need to hold that fair, just like we planned. It's important." A knowing smile graced his face. "Absolutely. And we'll help the community come together, rain or shine." With renewed purpose resonating through her, Emily vowed to herself that this fair would be a beacon of hope and friendship. Planning it together with Jake, Sarah, Max, and all the kids, they could revive and strengthen the bonds that had weathered so much. Once the storm's fury finally subsided, Emily stepped outside to feel the fresh scents and softness of a world reborn after rain. The warmth bloomed within her, awakening her spirit with feelings of possibility. "Come on, everyone," she called, her heart now brimming with excitement. "An incredible fair is waiting to happen. Let us make it the best one yet, together." Cheers erupted as they embraced the moment, laughter hanging in the air like glittering sunshine. Emily felt tears of joy spring to her eyes. With every step forward, she knew their shared courage was a powerful force. Together, they would rise, resilient and united, weaving together their family, friendships, and community into a tapestry of love and strength, ready to face whatever storms might come next. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, because I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes a difference.